financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to Law and Reality. It's a little bit brisk outside, but here we are. Pat Simasko, it's good to have you in the office again.
Thanks for having me.
Pat's from Simasko Law, co-sponsor on the show, elder law expert, and we're going to talk about some elder law issues this segment and the next segment of Law and Reality. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here.
David Einstandig, nice to see you again.
Always a pleasure, Ken. So what exactly is elder? Is it like 55? Is it 65?
Elder is whatever you want it to be. How's that?
Do you consider yourself elder?
No. But in the context of this show, yes, in certain respects. You can make that decision as we go. You decide when I'm elder.
I think I'm biased.
Okay, here's the topic of the show for this segment. It's time to get my house in order. And let me kind of put it in perspective. You never quite know when your time is up. And if you have your house in order when your time is up, it's a lot easier. And you also don't understand the experience of going through and handling someone's estate as the survivor of the estate until you do so. It's different when we're attorneys. I recently lost my brother. He was only 63. He got ill quickly from November and then suddenly passed away in January. And it's an eye-opening experience from the standpoint of from the time he got sick, he did get his house in order. He was out of state. But now I'm charged with the responsibilities of seeing through his estate issues, getting his death certificate, doing all of those things. It would have been hell to deal with had he not gotten his house in order before. And it was fortunate that he did. So so when you ask the question, am I an elder? I don't feel like I'm an elder, but my brother was only 2 years older than me and he's not an elder anymore. So the answer to the question is, you don't know. So when you get to be in your 40s and your 50s, it's time to get your house in order.
When you start having kids, you need to start looking at this stuff. My father-in-law had Alzheimer's at 54. My dad had a stroke at 61, and my grandma at 98. So you need it done before it's too late.
I was glad to hear you mention your grandma, because otherwise I was going to suggest maybe we need an alternate backup plan for the show.
Yeah.
But I guess we're okay.
We're good.
All right, that's good.
We're good.
Things that I want to talk about and we want to address when getting your house in order. And then Pat, you guys add in. But what I see is you need to gain understanding of what your Social Security retirement benefits are. You need to know the essential estate planning components. You've got to look at, do I have debt issues that need to be addressed? And you also have to worry about if your parents are living, you've got to have an action plan for them, because if you're 50, they're 75. If you're 60, they're 85, 90, and they are at the vulnerable age from the standpoint of nursing home. That's going to be our focus in the next segment of Law and Reality with Pat, is dealing with that specific issue. But let's concentrate on the others. On Social Security, I don't want to get really down deep on all the Social Security nuances, but the first question is, do I take my benefit at 62, 66, or 70? Is that a no-brainer, or is that a difficult question to answer?
That's a really hard question to answer, because you have to look at your liquidity needs, you have to look at how much income that you need, you have enough savings to get you through those years while you're not working, waiting for Social Security. As a general rule, the longer you wait, the more you get.
Yeah, is it the difference is 30% on your monthly benefit between 66 and 70?
Well, it's 8% per year every year that you wait.
So if full retirement age is 66, right, Brian?
Yeah.
66,
66 for me, 67 for you. All right, and then if I defer from 66,
95 for my kids.
I think I think you may have a point there. 66 to 70, that's 32%.
Yeah.
All right, so instead of getting $1,500 a month, you're looking at getting $2,300 a month. That's a big number.
See,
but you got to live.
For Social Security, they know that everyone's going to die at age 82. That's the actuary basis. They all know everybody dies at 82. The longer that you live past 82, it's much, much, much better to wait for that benefit. But some people can't wait. They just have to take
So
it.
when they decide you're all going to die at 82, that was the life expectancy average between husband and wife at the time they set those
Yes,
numbers? Do they
yeah.
keep revising them?
They
or?
do, and the life expectancy is getting longer. Like you say, your kids, their full retirement age will be 95 because they'll live to 150. You know what I'm saying? So as medical technology changes, life expectancies are going through the roof. Sadly, not healthier, just longer.
Question. When we're
Yeah,
looking at-
which is a big problem for the whole financial
Oh, yeah.
system.
when we're looking at these ages, 62, 66, and 70, is it rational to believe that the system is set up incorrectly now? Because people don't stop working at 62 anymore or 65 unless you have health issues.
How
People,
can you afford to stop working at 62?
well, but that's what I'm saying. People
Maybe I'll
used to
retire next
retire
month.
and plan on retiring. I'm going to retire at 65.
Well,
and now I think people work till 70.
Well, here's the answer. Remember that word back in the good old days, pensions? People had
What are those?
pensions back in the day, so they could actually retire at 58.
And they would get like a regular monthly amount?
Yeah,
until the government
I saw
took
it
it away from
chiseled
you?
on a stone that people used to have pensions and they could live off their pensions, and then Social Security would be a supplement to that. Now with no pensions and a very small retirement
Yeah, your little-
accounts,
your
IRAs,
401k
yeah,
and-
people aren't saving anymore.
201K these days?
Yeah, well,
We're approaching a break. Let's
Yeah.
try and wrap up Social Security. Here's the question. So you got to factor in how long your life expectancies. Are you healthy? If you're in very poor health, you might want to take the benefits earlier. But if you're in good health, extend it. You need to investigate it, though. Is the message? Is you need to sit down with someone like Pat, who analyzes your life expectancy, what your financial needs are, and then make a wise choice with regard to the issue. You don't want to just go and walk into the Social Security office, make an appointment, and grab the money.
that's what they say. It's my money. I want it now.
Too often they do say that.
Bad idea.
We'll be back after the break.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Fav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Fav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. I want to wrap up Social Security, but at the break, Brian, you made a good point. Whose age matters is what we were talking about. Explain
It's
that.
really, we don't care when the husband's going to die because we know that the husband's going to die first. It's the wife because she gets to take the husband's benefits and she's going to live for to 100.
So even if the husband was in so-so medical shape, it's important if the benefit, let that benefit grow by the 32%, so the wife gets the benefit of collecting that amount for the rest of her life.
Absolutely.
So
Assuming
so
that husband goes first.
Not going to go into it lengthily, but there's maybe a strategy to using up your 401k during this year's 62 to 70.
Oh, absolutely.
So that you can maximize your Social Security.
To finance your way to the higher benefit.
Let me, okay. If I had told you, I said, you know what, I have an investment that will give you a guaranteed 8% return for the rest of your life increase, what would you do?
Take it.
Take it. And what's that called? Social Security. So when you pull out of the 401k plan, when you're not collecting Social Security, your tax bracket's a lot lower. So you pull out of the 401k at a lower tax bracket and let your Social Security go up.
By that 8%.
Yeah, and then later on you start turning on your Social Security and your 401k is lower, so when you have to start taking your required minimum distribution, it's a lower amount, lower tax bracket, everybody wins.
So
Let's disinherit the IRS.
I like that. A lot of planning goes into it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. You got to have an estate plan up to date. And that's an easy thing to say I'm going to do, but then getting it done, people seem to be slow on it.
But I did my estate plan 12 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
And your kids were infants at the time?
Well,
let me just tell you
they were
the
young.
Yeah.
But so what? Why does it matter?
family came in this week. Dad just had a stroke, horrible condition. He's in the hospital. We have to go sign up, and the kids are, his estate plan, thank God he's still competent to do it, and the kids are saying, oh my God, my dad, he never did it. We told him. I turn to the kids, well, that means you have your stuff done, right?
Oh,
and you
no.
see the blank look
Right.
on their face, and they all say, well, we're going to come in next. You never know. You have to do it before it's too late, and it's too late when you're not competent to sign the papers.
What's the whole issue of avoiding probate? Because this is the things that people talk about and hear about. Is it a big thing, and is it a costly method to avoid probate? What goes on there? What's the process?
First, people think they need to avoid probate when they die, which is a lot less expensive. You don't have to get attorneys involved if you avoid probate with revocable trust when you pass away. But more important is you need a medical and a financial power of attorney, because if you don't have the ability to sign a power of attorney and you have that stroke or you have dementia or you have that heart attack, if you don't have someone in place to make your decisions, they have to go to probate and have a guardian and conservator appointed, and that's a nightmare.
Yeah, the conservator would be over the handling financial affairs?
Yeah, the judge is picking someone to watch over Dad's money while Mom is sitting at the table, which she's been watching over the money her whole life. And it could be such a huge delay that if we're trying to do Medicaid planning with the court involved, it may take months and months and months, which means we're spending thousands and thousands and thousands on the nursing home, which could have been saved if we had a simple financial power of attorney, an up-to-date financial
Ken, if you
power
put
of
it this way, while probate encompasses a lot of issues, the most widely used aspect of probate is a method to transfer title of property that is not otherwise or previously accounted for. It's a method of transfer title that becomes public and has a cost to it. If you have a simple will, it handles all of the title transfer issues. It's a private instrument. There's a 2 or 3 page document called the Certificate of Trust, and that's all.
You said a trust.
If you have a trust, if you have a trust, if you have a trust and a will and an estate plan, your trust is basically doing the same thing in part. It's transferring title the way that you want. And it also, you have what's called a certificate of trust, which is a couple pages that you could take to the bank or you could take to your broker. And it basically says, I'm the trustee, I certify I'm the trustee. You completely avoid all the hassle of probate, and it's immediate.
So the key to it is you have to have the trust, which is not any more really complicated to do than the will in terms of making sure that your assets go where you want. But then you have to make sure you've put the assets into the trust before you've passed away. Go to the healthcare power of attorney for a second. Real life story, I can tell you right now, my brother had a brain hemorrhage. And so I get the call from the doctors, sudden, and say, this is the story, what do you want us to do? Do you want him off of life support, which is pull the breathing tube, or not? If I didn't have the healthcare power, I wouldn't have had the authority or the ability to say do it, and then we would have been in that limbo world. Okay, healthcare power is there. That hospital called 3 times, talked to 3 doctors. It was clear what they were telling me to do, but they were telling me to tell them to do it. They didn't want to be in this situation.
Was he married at the time?
No, he was widowed.
You know, the funny thing, wives think they can make husbands' decisions and back and forth. They're not allowed to without a medical power of attorney. You need that document.
So it's not a complicated document.
Easy.
But it's a critically important one, and those have been updated now because of HIPAA requirements and things like that. So you need to watch out for those.
It's also important when we're talking about a medical or durable power of attorney for healthcare or patient advocate. It is not intended to vest, for example, in you, Ken, to decide what you want to do personally. But what I mean by that is the role of the patient advocate, you in that sense, is to follow the directives of your brother who put down what his wishes and his desires were in that document. So you may be, I want machines hooked up to me until the end of the earth because I'm going to be reinvented 20 years from now. But if your brother said, I don't want any machines, your role is to honor his wishes.
His instruction. If he said, I want machines, then I would have been, then my obligation would have been to say, no, keep them alive forever. But most of the time, people don't want to go that direction. We're coming up to a break, and here's how I want to lead into the break. This is a conversation I have at my house all the time. Well, if you leave, if you go, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to pay the bills? Where's your insurance? How much insurance do you have?
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you're approaching retirement and don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your investments, and your savings. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Putting a solid strategy in place with Simasko Law legally protects your assets as well as your wishes. Since a will doesn't cover you medically or financially, Simasko Law goes beyond ordinary asset management protection to safeguard everything you have.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Simasko Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. It's devastating. The effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy
to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP.
All right, it's announcement time. We've got a seminar coming up on Wednesday, March 9th. It is called Covering Your Legal and Medical Issues When You're Older, or when you're an elder, as you would say, David. Pat Simasko, you're going to lead us through on this seminar on the elder law issues. I'm going to talk a bit on estate planning basics. Brian, you're going to cover the debt issues that people face when they're older. It's a great seminar. It's free. It's Wednesday, March 9th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at our offices in Bingham Farms. You can sign up by going to thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or calling 888-235-HELP. We also have a seminar coming up on Wednesday, April 13th called Go Away, Mr. Debtman. And that is Wednesday, I knew you'd love that, Brian, Wednesday, 6:30 to 8 p.m., Wednesday, April 13th, focusing on all of the ways to eliminate debt so that you can start preserving income for yourself and your family. Sign up the same way, thavgross.com or lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP.
It could be a song, Go Away, Mr. Debtman.
That's exactly what the motivation was. I couldn't quite remember what the song was, but Mr. Something.
Oh, God,
remember.
don't
We'll have
sing,
to think
please.
about it.
What's that? Don't leave your day job?
Yeah.
Absolutely there. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us Tuesdays noon to 1 on WCHB Law and Reality Live with Mildred Gaddis, and also Saturdays 9 to 10 a.m. on WDFN 11:30 a.m. That's Law and Reality Dealing with Reality. So we've got 2 radio shows. Go to our websites. We have free reports, and we have a new report that just came out called Business Formation and Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. There are 14 programs that we founded and we investigated in the Metro Detroit area to provide funding beyond commercial bank funding to get businesses started and for new startups. It's important information for people. You're going to find you can't find it in one place except you can find it in this report because we had our office staff compile it. All right, now back to debt issues, or back to estate planning issues. What I said as we led into the break was oftentimes one spouse doesn't know what the other spouse has done or accomplished from a standpoint of financial elements. Like, for instance, in my house, my wife says to me, well, if you go, how much insurance is there? Where are the funds? What do I do? And the answer often is, go look in the first drawer of my credenza, but the plan is to do a memo that lays it all out so that if that happens on a sudden basis, the memo is there. And you should also do a family meeting. Those are the ways to resolve that. It's an important thing to do, and it goes back to just like when we started the show. You never know when that day is going to come, and as soon as you have children, you really have kind of an obligation to your family to address it and take care of it. Now, we got about 4 minutes left in the show, Brian. I want to go with Brian, Pat, David. I want to integrate the issue of debt issues with estate planning issues, because you're now getting your house in order. So you're going to leave an estate plan, but your kids are financially distressed. So what do you do about that? How do you not only do you have your debt, but what if your kids have debt and you're going to leave your life insurance proceeds to them?
It's amazing how those issues run together. If you pass away and the kids inherit everything, it's their money. Now all their problems become your problems because of that inheritance. If you create a trust appropriately, you can have strings attached to your money. So the kids inherit the money, they get the income, they get the principal if they need it. But if they get divorced, it's not their money, it's the trust money. If they have creditor issues, it's not their money, it's the trust money.
We call it a discretionary trust, right? I know.
Special needs trust, discretionary trust.
You and I deal with that issue, Brian and David, all the time from the standpoint of all of a sudden we have the creditor going after the money. We have one in the office right now where the wife is widowed and she's elderly and she has money coming from a trust, but the concern is, are the trust provisions clear so that it's discretionary, versus non-discretionary. If it's discretionary, the creditor can't get the money. If it's non-discretionary, which means the wife automatically gets the money, the creditor can get the money. These are real sensitive issues.
There are some very poorly drafted trusts out there, and it always pays to have your legal documents reviewed and double checked, because I've got one right now where the trust expires after a certain number of years and the money just goes, and we're at like 6 months left, and there's $100,000 worth of debt hanging out there, and it's going to be subject to being
That's every trust provision out there where you have it to the kids. I give my money to the kids. It's controlled until they're age 25, but at age 25, they get it uncontrolled access to it. So if they have all those debts racked up, it's gone at 25.
Bottom line is you got to keep strings attached to the
That's
money.
the
The
key.
kids may not like it conceptually, but it's a savior for them because they don't want their inheritance
At
going
the
to their
same time,
creditors
you've got to
either.
be sure that you don't make mistakes with your money, so that there is money to go to the
Right,
kids. I mean, how many times have we seen people, elderly as we have used today, utilize and use up their 401ks or their IRAs instead
What's the
of
rule you always say in our seminars?
never raid your IRA or your 401k to pay an unsecured debt. Ever, ever, ever.
Unsecured debt's a little sophisticated. Never
Visa,
rate it.
MasterCard,
Don't pay your credit
bill.
card debts. And realistically, don't go paying your mortgage with your 401k unless you've met with someone like us to really advise to make sure, is that the smart play? There are better alternatives than rating your 401k.
And certainly, don't do your estate plan yourself. What do I mean by that? People love to say that I'm going to save some money. I don't need a lawyer. I'll just put my kids on the house, the car, the vacation home,
Well, then you
whatever
don't
it is.
need a trust, right?
Right.
Yeah, but then
And
their
then when
problems come in, yeah.
Yeah, when Junior decides that he needs a bankruptcy and you're living in your house that you put Junior's name on, the trustee in bankruptcy is going to come in and sell your house out from underneath you.
Yeah, but
Can you
then-
stop that?
That's when your child files bankruptcy, but they're too ashamed to tell mom
You know
or
what,
to tell
that's-
dad,
That they have the
and
debts.
then the first time you find out is a year after the bankruptcy, when the trustee sends you a letter
Saying-
and says, by the way, your house is up for sale, and you're looking at this letter like it's some type of ghost, or you have no idea what it is. That's what we see.
You know,
in the
Dave,
office.
what you said and what you said earlier, it's so key, is what we find all the time. No one really knows what's going on. So you have to have that family meeting and have a heart-to-heart and say, hey, you know, Mom, I got a big debt problem. And Mom's got to say, you know what, I got that same debt problem.
You need to be really careful. You don't jointly title assets. You don't do pre-bankruptcy planning either. We see that where they say, well, I'll give the Corvette away to cousin Freddie for $400. Disasters occur. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.